absolutely shameful in terms of how he referred to migrants, and I think he just continues to incite hatred and prejudice, and I think he should apologise.
For a bunch of migrants. Should he apologise for saying a bunch of migrants?
He said a bunch of migrants. I don't think that's his description of what Jeremy Corbyn had surrounded himself with when he went marching over
not
Calais.
a bunch of migrants.
When he went
people who face much worse than you'll ever face in your life.
When he went over to
You don't really
Calais.
believe
The
that.
simple fact
You
is
really don't
that
believe that.
we're a moral nation and we need to fulfil our moral responsibilities. I'm proud to be a member of a government that meets its commitments as far as 0.7 of GNI, gross national income, on our overseas aid budget. The first government, Yasmin, to do that. We're the second biggest. We're the second biggest bilateral donor in humanitarian crisis to Syria, more than any other country is doing, over £1.1 billion. We've sent the Royal Navy into the Mediterranean to try and turn some of these boats back so that people do not get drowned and don't come into terrible danger. This is a huge problem. We don't.
Where they are.
Well, they're
in terrible danger. You don't push a pull factor. They are scared.
The simple fact is we don't know the numbers. As Angus said, it was 1 million last year. There's still 12. I think something like 12 million displaced in Syria alone. So we will be co-hosting next week in London, along with the Germans and Norway, the UN conference on Syria, where we need to make progress. This isn't something one country alone.
No, can I ask you something, though, about this? How do you decide, how do you answer the question of how many more refugees Britain can absorb? Is it a matter of the money? Is it a matter of welfare, the facilities in this country? As a government, what are you doing when you sit down and say, we'll take 20,000 over 5 years?
Part of the money is what we're already giving to some of the camps and supporting Syrian families already in some of these displaced camps. So, as I say, we are the second biggest donor after the United States.
Said that.
No, I know I said that, but it is actually quite an important point.
You've heard the appeal in interruptions from the right here about there are hundreds and thousands and millions of people.
We've taken a view that 20,000 is what can be accommodated. We said we'd do 1,000 before Christmas. That was done, that was fulfilled. And we've said that we will take some more of the displaced children. But we've also said they should be taken from the camps and not necessarily those that have been brought into Europe.
All right, Jess.
I mean, the answer to the question is, of course, we should take as many as we can. And the way to decide
what does that mean?
How we can afford it, as I was about to say, is to look at our areas. So I live in Birmingham, and if Birmingham City Council takes a genuine look at what school places are available, what housing is available, looks wholesale